Hi guys, thank you for joining me today. My name is Curtis and I am the Bakersfield Museum of Art's front desk supervisor as well as venue coordinator, and today I'd like to talk to you about a really cool art project, miniatures painting. Now I've been painting miniatures for about 16 years and I have a background in art. I graduated from CSUB with a degree in studio art, and painting miniatures is something that's very near and dear to me, and I'd like to share that with you today. So come on, join me. Now, for those of you who don't know what painting miniatures is, it's really just the painting of really small figurines. And here we have a quarter to show the size of these guys. Now, of course, what we're doing today isn't going to be as complex as what you see here, but it is a lot of fun to do and a really great hobby. Now, you may ask, why do this? Where did this come from? Well, you'll be surprised to know that actually people have been painting miniatures for a very long time, and there's quite a bit of really interesting history behind it. Check this out. Wow, can you believe that people were making and painting miniatures as far back as ancient Egypt? Astounding! Now, before we jump in, we're going to need a few things. We're going to need to prepare our work area as well as gather some supplies. Check this out. You have all your stuff together? Great. So now let's start. Now the first thing you want to do is pick out something that you want to paint. Now my suggestion would be not to pick out something super tiny, but maybe go with something a little bit bigger, maybe like maybe this dinosaur. Let's try out painting this dinosaur for right now. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to prime him. Now priming is an important step because it creates a better surface for the paint to adhere to. So watch me do that. Okay, so as you just saw, we covered the dinosaur in just a layer of white paint. So that's going to help the next layers of paint that we're going to put on it adhere to it. It's also going to make those colors brighten up a little bit. So after this is dry, it should only take a couple of minutes if you're using acrylic paint. We can move on to our next step. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to put on our base coat. And what that's going to do is that's going to be the underlying coat that we're going to put some highlighting on later on. So to do this, we're going to actually blend some colors. I'm going to start off with blue, and then I'm going to darken it up with some black. So just watch me do this real quick. Just get a nice amount of blue there, and then let's get some black just to darken it up. Okay, and once we have that nice dark blue color made, let's start painting our dinosaur. We want to make sure and really get it in there. Okay, so now that we have the base coat on, it should be this nice kind of dark blue color. What we're going to do next is a technique called dry brushing, which is just how it sounds. We're going to take a dry paintbrush and we want to get some more blue, and we're going to do some quick brushing over our model. We're going to blend it a little bit with white just to make it a little bit brighter. And what this is going to do is it's really going to highlight a lot of the detail on the model. Let's get that a little bit brighter. There we go, that looks good. Okay, so we want to get some of the paint off the brush, and using kind of a light, almost like a feather-like touch, we're just going to be kind of slowly applying this paint. You can see his scales are starting to kind of come out now. And go ahead and do that over your model until you have a nice amount of detail showing through. Okay, so now that you're done dry brushing, you probably have quite a bit more detail coming out in your model, but I definitely want to put some more color onto this and get more of those different details, make it an interesting looking piece. So I'm going to do the same thing I was doing with the body, only I'm going to do it with these little ridges around his little head here, as well as his horns, and maybe a little his beak as well. I think I'm going to do some yellow. So let's try that. There we go, I have my horns nice and yellow. Now the yellow is a little bit thin. It may take a couple of coats to get a nice bright yellow, but that's okay. Remember, if yours isn't looking perfect, that's absolutely fine. This is your first time, or possibly you're just beginner. That's okay. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a little bit of white highlighting on top of the horns just to bring out that a little bit. Get a little bit of white on your brush. Maybe mix it with the yellow a little bit. And then we're just going to do that same dry brushing technique as before. Okay, now that we have the dinosaur's horns nice and highlighted, they look a bit better now, a little bit more detailed, a little bit less of that blotchy yellow color. I want to go ahead and add some more color to my dinosaur and make him a little bit more interesting. So I think I'm going to give him some nice like stripes on his back, and I'm going to use this red color. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. Just as long as you're having fun, that's the most important thing. So I'm just going to get on there and I'm going to just make some kind of patterns on his back. Don't have to be very careful with this. Alright, so now that I have my three little red stripes on his back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and outline those with some black, give those stripes some more definition, make my model a little bit more interesting. Just do that real quick. Again, you don't need to be super careful when doing this. Just going to kind of outline this red around him. And there you have it. I mean, this is the finished product. As you can see, it's come out pretty detailed. It's been a great way to spend some time. I went in and added in a little bit more detail, like the tongue and the eye. Feel free to do that. And feel free to continue to dry brush and do different color patterns as you see fit. I really hope you've enjoyed this project. Please join us again next time as we continue our art lessons through the Bakersfield Museum of Art. Well, have a great day.